Hello, my name is Dana, and this is the first channel on my YouTube page entitled Motherless Child. So bear with me, guys, because I'm not a fan of social media. I've done one podcast in the past that we'll discuss a little later on, but this is my first YouTube channel and video on my own. So I am the mother of 3 sons. My eldest son is D. He is 28 years old. My middle son is Dylan. He's 20. And my youngest son is Drew. He's 12 years old. And so because of the title, Motherless Child, I am a motherless child. And I gave birth to one motherless child. So Dylan and D have their own dad. I was 16 years old when I met him, and he was 20. We won't get into that story. That's a whole nother story for another episode. This is about Drew, because Drew has his own dad. And this is the reason why I am creating this channel, to share my journey, my life testimony with other people who could be going through similar adversities. And it gets really sensitive when you're speaking about your children. I grew up in LA. I graduated from Crenshaw High School in 1994. I went to a few different technical schools, and then I transferred to USC, and I graduated with a nursing degree in 2000. I lived in different areas in Los Angeles. I lived with my grandfather on 51st and Broadway, and my grandmother on 58th and West Boulevard. So that's where I spent a lot of my time growing up. And we'll segue into why where I grew up has an impact in the court system. So the reason for this episode is I went to jail. I spent 3 days in jail. Well, how did I get here? As I stated before, I have a child by someone that we've been involved in a very contentious child custody case in LA County. And I'm not surprised that I'm involved in something like this. Our initial court case was in September 2011. And he always promised me that if you don't act right, I'm going to take that son from you. And initially, I didn't believe him. I mean, I accepted it as a threat, but I didn't believe him because I'm a great mom. Like, that's one thing I'm good at, that I work on being good at, is being a mother. I've been a mother since I was 17 years old. And that was something that I committed to when I decided to have my first son, is to focus on being a mother and being the best example of that to him. And that didn't stop with Dylan and or Drew. And so I'll kind of speed it up because, like I said, I'm going to be having a channel now, and I'll have different episodes. So what we're going to be doing is, when you open up a wound, you also need to close up that wound. So the wound that we're digging into today is how I was arrested and spent 3 days in jail. So again, I share a son, Drew, with someone who is a celebrity, and his name is Dedrick. I call him Dedrick or Damon, but he goes by the stage name Mack 10. So initially, like I said, I had an introduction to YouTube channel. I was on Tommy Sotomayor's channel back in August 2021 when I talked about I didn't have temporary custody of our son, as well as the court system and how I got here. Well, I'm still in it. And I thought that Tommy's channel was shut down. We were supposed to do a follow-up interview. There were some things that transpired behind the scenes that he no longer felt comfortable doing that. And so I am finally at a place where I want to use my voice on a continued basis to share my testimony with other people. So I'll just fast forward to the day that I got arrested. It was actually on our son Drew's 12th birthday. So Drew's birthday is August 25th. And I have this tradition with my children when they turn double digits, I get them that many burgers from In-N-Out so they can share with their friends. So Drew was turning 12. He already knew I was bringing him In-N-Out burgers, so I was bringing 12 burgers to his school. And so I went to the school and I saw Drew's dad. And I said, okay. And so I went into the school, and like I said, I'm giving you guys the fast version, summarizing the events that took place that day. He was there presenting his ID, speaking to the administration in the front office. And so I also went to my side of the room and I told them I had food for Drew to pick up. And I noticed something didn't feel right. And so I asked if Drew could come out. And so the lady was pretty stern and said, oh no, he's in class. He can't come out. I said, well, I'm his mother and I'm telling you to go get him. That didn't happen. Next thing you know, I have Mack 10 in the office telling them to arrest me. So his attorney was able to get a warrant for my arrest, which this is a true thing, for child kidnapping, child stealing. And so I was actually harassed 3 days prior to that when we left court. They handcuffed me, detained me, and then released me. So I didn't put too much weight on, like, if I had a warrant or what, like, this is what he does. So on that very day, I was actually arrested. So like I said, it was on Drew's birthday. I was arrested at my son's school. He was in the room next door. And the last image that I have of our son is his head down. And he just looked depleted. And they allowed his dad to be in the room with him. And yeah, that hurt. I wasn't hurt for me because, remember I said that he always promised me that that would happen. And because of things that transpired in the past, I believed him. I just wasn't going to stop him from doing what he had to do. Is that this is our life and this is what's going to happen. Meaning stop him by giving in to his demands or requests. And I also know that other women that he shared children with have also went through this. So I'm not the first and I won't be the last. But my concern is obviously my children and how it affects the children that I don't share with him. So I will add on some videos during this episode where you will see a video. I made a happy birthday video for Drew because we weren't able to complete the plan. So he couldn't eat his In-N-Out burgers. He couldn't share them with his friends. And we were going to go to Top Golf and have his favorite food. He actually wanted me to cook. And I was going to make king crab legs. So what happened is I'm in the back of the police car. They take me down to some substation, and then they put me in another vehicle, take me down to the jail where I spent about 6 hours in a cell the size of a phone booth. And so I'm a person with mental strength. So I'm like, okay, all right, I got this. And so I remember being in there like, wow, like feeling sensitive to what other people may have felt having this similar experience. Um, yeah, but it's a reality. So I remember thinking, okay, it's not so bad. And then they pulled me out to ask me questions about my name and all this stuff. And at that point, I'm not happy that I'm there. So there's no way that I'm going to be answering any questions about who I am when they already know who I am. And so I kind of refuse to talk. And I'm not saying that's the best solution because it does affect you when you are about to take part in the bail process. So I remember thinking, okay, boy, I wish I had some water. It was two things that I wish I had: water and a pen or a pencil and a notepad. So I wasn't going to get any of those things. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get bailed out. So it's not a big deal. So I remember asking if I could use the restroom. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to use the restroom. It's going to have a door on it, like, privacy. Oh, no. It wasn't any of that. So when I asked if I could go use the restroom, I was put into another cell with other people in there. And I said, oh, okay. Well, I guess this is jail. This is your time. Okay, you better get ready to squat in front of these other women. And I remember one of the first things that stands out when I'm in jail, I know I'm not sitting on this toilet. And so I commenced to squat over the toilet. I have my toilet tissue ready so I can wipe and just pull up my pants. And one of the women in the cell said, if you sit down on the toilet, it'll come out faster. Like, I didn't even respond because I didn't need any help. I'm not trying to talk to anybody. I'm just trying to get bailed out. And so, all the TV you watch about being arrested, you think, I'm just going to get that phone call. Like, that's all I kept asking for. Can I get my phone call? Can I get my phone call? Because I'm getting out of here. Like, can I get my phone call? Well, there was no phone call to get. There was no training on how to use the phones. There was none of that. And so I kind of trained myself on how to use the phone because you have to figure it out on your own. Nobody's helping you. And so I finally was able to call one person, my cousin, and she assisted me. And I told her to make sure that, contact the bail bondsman. I had a friend who had already had that information, and just let's get the ball rolling. So when I talked to her, they hadn't released the bail yet. So that means I can't bail out. So I said, okay, I guess this is what it is. I accepted it, like, whatever. I don't have control over me getting out, so I'm going to make the best of it. And so I figured out how to sleep. There was one time, like, I'm in there probably about 4 different women at this time. And they have benches, and we have 2 women on the floor. I got a bench. This other lady got a bench. And, like, you're trying to figure out, like, how do you get comfortable? Well, you don't. And so I remember one time that you kind of get up in a fetal position and you make your shoulder a pillow. And now it's dinner time. So they open up and say, oh, here's your dinner. Or that may be wrong. I don't think I was offered anything that day. Yeah, that's not true. I wasn't offered anything that day. So no food. The water you have to drink from a water fountain, which is next to a toilet. And so that was something new. And I'm just praying to God. And he was like, because I was like, I don't really need any food or water. I'm getting out tomorrow. So I think I didn't drink or eat anything because I'm getting out tomorrow. So the next morning, I ended up sleeping on that bench. So the next morning, oh, come on, get your stuff together. Well, I have no stuff. And they had me change back into my clothes. They had me, I forgot the other part. Let me rewind a little bit. So when I was in jail, they put me in another cell with just one woman. it looks as if she was withdrawing from drugs. And at one point, she was masturbating right in front of me, just right across from me. And yeah, I was like, okay, she's soothing herself. That is her version of a pacifier. So let me give her privacy. And so now I'm like, they call my name. So I'm like, okay, they call my name. Like, I'm getting bailed out. Yeah, I'm not getting bailed out. I'm actually getting in a paddy wagon tied up to this woman who's masturbating, and we're going to LA County. So that is how that morning spent, in a paddy wagon on our way to LA County with 2 women in the front, 2 men in the back. And you would have thought they haven't seen a woman in 10 years. And so I was offered to, once we get out of here, to take me on a date. And the other guy said he has a limo company. So I really wasn't offended by that, because I thought that kind of makes the time go by fast. Like, okay, one step. Okay, where's step 2? So we get to LA County, to Twin Towers, and they have us in this giant holding cell. And it looks like about 100 people in here. Now this was starting to get nasty. It was getting, every step that you took, it was getting nastier and nastier. And so I'm in this cell with about 100 women. I have to use the bathroom again. So same process. Let me squat. Let me do courtesy, a wipe, just to make sure that I didn't leave the toilet wet. And so from there, we spent a couple of hours there, and then they sent us to Linwood. So Linwood, we get there via a bus. So what was so crazy about that, on the bus, we're coming from downtown Los Angeles. We passed by USC. We passed by 51st and Broadway to go to Linwood. So that means I'm getting booked twice. So my first booking picture, I forgot to tell you guys that my first booking picture, I wasn't happy. So I remember sitting there like, I think my face is twisted, like, and the lady with the sheriff was like, can you smile? I was like, no. Don't make that mistake. So hopefully you never have to experience that, but I didn't appreciate that picture. And so they have the little picture on your badge too. And so I was thinking, okay, when I get booked again, I'm gonna go hard on this picture. So what I did was, you're bored and you don't really have anything to do. And so how to keep my mind going is I got a comb, and I made my hair into an afro. So my afro is this big. So when they asked me to take a picture, I smiled from ear to ear. You know, I got my inner Black Panther on. Let's go. I'm here. Y'all want to keep me here? Then let's go. And so I remember they were like, oh, did you make your hair bigger for the picture? I absolutely did. Because I'm welcoming all the ancestors and angels in my inner Fini Shakur. And it's like, okay, you better use your voice for something good. They put you in jail, baby. Oh, they mean business. I took that as a sign that someone wants me dead. So I'm still thinking I'm getting bailed out, but I don't have access to a phone. They like I said, you're not getting a phone call. And they were a little nicer in Linwood. I think that the sheriffs that work there a little longer, they know how to kind of enjoy what they're doing. If that makes any sense. But the younger sheriffs, oh yeah, they're not nice at all. And so at least these women had a sense of humor. At one point, I was sitting down, and I remember I was asking for apples and bananas and stuff. And they were like laughing at me like, you're not getting that here. And so I sat back down outside. I'm not in a cell. I'm not in handcuffs. And I think they got so lax with me and my personality, and they forgot that I wasn't in handcuffs. And I remember one of them came back, put her in the cuffs. So put me in cuffs. They put us in this cell. And remember, it's a business, it's commerce. So I refused any type of TB test. But we did get 2 COVID tests. So, like I said, that's money. One in one county and the other one in LA County. And so I'm not knowing, like I had a court date on Monday. So at this point, it was a Thursday when I was arrested, and this was a Friday. So this is Friday. So I'm not knowing. I'm like, okay, I'm in here for the weekend. So let me just prepare. My mind is healthy. I was actually empowering some of the other women because I'm 45 and the other women were like 30 and they were in there for some other things, but we're all the same at this point. We're all in the cell. None of us have access to a phone and the food that we typically eat. So we all the same. So I remember at one point it was this young girl. She started to cry and I had to get her together. I said, get yourself together. You're going to be okay. And so it was a lot of that. So even in that cell, shared with all those women, it was different. But I felt like every opportunity, I can learn something from it. So I just chose that as, okay, what can I learn from this guy? Like, why am I here? Why am I really here? I know how I got here, but why am I here? And so let me learn and let me grow. Allow me to grow through this. And so all the other women were getting rooms and not me. So it was really interesting. I think I was one of the last to be called, myself and my cellie. We end up going to a room and they start talking about you have to quarantine for 14 days. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be here 14 days. And they were like, oh, well, I said, okay. So my cellie is getting like her anxiety is increasing. I'm like, that's not for us. They don't have anywhere to put us. So they're going to put us here. It's temporary housing is what it is. So they put us in a cell with 2 bunks and a toilet and a sink. Now, I'm one of those people who I brush my teeth at least twice a day. I try to do it after every meal, but at least twice a day, in the morning and at night. I hadn't brushed my teeth since Thursday morning. And I'm like, wow. I'm asking, can I have a toothbrush? You have any toothpaste? Oh, no, when you get your permanent housing. I'm thinking, I'm getting bailed out. I just want to brush my teeth. Yeah, you're not getting any of that. So my Sally had been to jail before. So she kind of acclimated me to what it was like. So I remember she was like, I'll get the bottom bunk. And I wanted the top anyway. We had a window in our cell, which is, that is really, really good real estate. Location, location, location. So having that light enter into that cell, thank you, God. You're able to see cars, people walking. Thank you, God, for not allowing this to be 4 or 3 walls and bars. And so we had some linens, but it was like a sheet. I'm like, do you have anything else? Like, oh no, that's all you get. So I get up there and it's hard metal, and I thought that's really what we sleep on. So my son was like, oh, you don't have a mattress, ask for a mattress. I was like, oh, I didn't even know. So she taught me this little trick. When you get the mattress, you fold it under so it can be a pillow. So I was making the best. I was like, okay, making my bed. I guess I said, God said, drink the water. So I remember we got a milk, and I did get an apple. And I'll tell you the funny story about the apple. So I got a milk carton. I'm not a fan of milk. I remember drinking it sometimes when I was pregnant. That's been for so many years. I don't drink milk. And so I remember doing is getting the carton of milk like you're in elementary school, holding my nose and this chugging the milk. And I didn't like putting my face up to the water fountain, which is right next to the toilet, yeah. So I remember rinsing out my milk carton. And then that way I have a little water jug. And I'm like, okay, this is better than it was, a minute ago. So I remember just using every opportunity to be thankful. And I remember this younger sheriff walks by and I said, "Oh, excuse me, ma'am. I haven't got my phone call." She was like, "We don't do that. We don't do that here." And so 20 minutes later, she comes by. She says, "Oh, you have 30 minutes. You can get your phone call and you can take a shower." Okay. So immediately I'm like, I'm not worried about a shower. Let me get my phone call. Well, you need a password, a PIN number to, I don't know any of this. So she gives me the PIN number. It doesn't work. So after 5 minutes of doing that, she asks, I go back and say, "Oh, it's not working." "Oh, let me give you another one." It'll take another 5 minutes for it to be accepted in the system. So I got my phone call and I spoke to my cousin. She was like, "Your bail is still not released and we can't bail you out." So at that point, I'm in here. This is Saturday and my court date is Monday. I'm like, just let me be here. Like, I'm cool. Like, it's not even that serious at this point. So I changed my whole attitude. So I remember getting off the phone, going over, getting ready to take my shower. And so the trustee is like, "Oh, yeah, you can take your shower, but there are no towels." I said, "Well, she handed me something." She's like, "And I'm going to give you the good soap as opposed to." So I was like, "Well, can I have the other soap too?" Because now I'm like, let me set my place up. So I got the good soap. I got the other soap where I could wash my hands, me and my Sally, after we use the restroom. And then I got like two of everything. She was giving me two of everything. I had 2 pair of thermals, 2 pair of underwear, 2 bras, 2 pair of socks, and she gave me some sanitary napkins. I thought this would have been my worst nightmare, starting my cycle while I am in jail. I didn't want that, but I was prepared. So I remember 30 minutes are up. We're back in our cell, and my cellie got to take a shower, but she didn't have anything else. Like, she didn't have a toothbrush. I had a toothbrush and a comb. And so I was just thinking, like, you know what? I'm just going to wash up right here at this sink right here. So I remember getting a sanitary napkin, lathering my body with soap and using that to wash my body, and using the other sanitary napkin to dry myself off. And I was like, okay. I remember asking someone for, again, a notepad and a pencil. Yeah, I wasn't getting that. I would have to wait till Tuesday to get that. And then I would have to have money on my books. So I was like, okay, fast forward that. I started to change my mind because my cousin told me I wasn't going to get bailed out. So I was like, I didn't want to go to court with a afro. And you have to be able to take care of your hair when you leave it dry like that. So I remember, like, okay, well, let me wash my hair. So I wash my hair in the sink. I dry it off with my other thermal shirt. And I was like, I'm going to put twists in my hair. So I knew that would take me approximately 2 hours to twist my hair. And that would take 2 hours off the clock. So during that, my Sally's anxiety started to increase. And so what I did was, I was like, let's play a game. So when I would take the kids camping, we would play a game called the ABC game when you go to the store. So usually when you go to the store, you start to get stuff. So example, I went to the store and bought an apple. So the second person, they have to repeat that. I went to the store and bought an apple, and then they have to have something with a B. So the first 3 items that my Sally and I went to the store to get, it was an apple, it was a banana, and it was carrots. And I had to use the restroom later on. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, I can't hold it. So this is what we're doing. We're having a number 2 in front of someone else in a small cell. As I'm like, I got the tissue squared out, double ply on the toilet. A trustee is opening up my door, throwing our food on the floor as I'm on the toilet. And I said, okay, well, this is life. This is what it is. And like I said, I started to get everything that we asked for from the store: apples, banana, and carrots. And like I said, another opportunity to thank God. So there was this other sheriff that came by, and I think I was working out. I was doing push-ups, and I had on my little bra top so I wouldn't get my other stuff sweaty. And when you see somebody walk by, I kind of walked over there. He was like, "What you in here for?" And I said, "Oh, child stealing." And then he asked my Sally, and she was in there for a DUI. And he was like, "Let me talk to somebody who is really in here for something, doing real time." And that may sound strange, but I like to hear that. Like, okay, that means I'm getting out of here. And so I took the time to kind of make him laugh, and he was laughing, and he even mentioned, "Oh, I got to get away from you." So he left. He came back and he said, "We getting you out of here. We getting you permanent housing." I'm like, "Permanent housing? Like, I'm not." He was like, "Well, no, you can get out from there too if they bail you out." And like I said, it wasn't getting bailed out wasn't a big deal at that point. Because I already accepted the fact that I was there. And if I was going to get out, it was because of the grace of God. So he came back, he says, he looked at both of us, he kind of, "Come here." And I was like, "Well, he must be talking to her." "No, I'm talking to both of you. You're both getting out." And we were so happy. And I was more happy for her because I didn't want to leave. Like when you have a good Sally, like you want to just kind of stay with them because you never know who you're going to get. And while you're in there, it's like animals because they're in cages, very small. Like, if I can remember right, like I measured it with my feet. Like a 9 by 9 was our living quarters. So there's 2 beds and a little desk, and then also like your toilet sink area that's like by measured in feet, my feet, like I think it was like a 6 by 7, so very small space. And so we were able to get bailed out. I got bailed out, but that was a process. She got released. But at the time, I thought I was actually being released, not having to bail out. Because who wants to spend the money if you don't have to? But eventually I found out that I was bailed out, which it wouldn't matter to me. All money, I have it, let's spend it. So I remember after leaving jail, my homeboy picked me up and he took good care of me. He took me back to our friend's house. They went and got me some food. I was craving Quick and Split because they opened up this new Quick and Split, or Quick and Split back open. But the kitchen was shut down, and I remember like making them laugh, saying I'm fresh out. And they were like, "No, you're not. You look like you just went swimming." I'm like, "No, I actually got out. I just got out of Linwood." And it's certain things that you do that you don't even know you're doing. I was carrying around this belongings, like my belongings bag. It was a clear bag with like my stuff in it because I had a hat on, I had some earrings on, and I'm carrying it around here because I didn't have any money because my purse was at home. So they took really good care of me. We went back to her house. I didn't get the burger that I wanted, but I was able to get this lemon cupcake. And I wish I knew the name of the place because it's not called Quick and Split. It's called another place. Shout out to them. That lemon cupcake. Oh, it was amazing. And so I only had one in my life, and they're pretty dangerous. So I have to put a link down to that location once I figure out how to do that. But that lemon cupcake was delicious. So when I say that I was arrested, I was in jail for 3 days, nobody should have that experience. It made me look at life different and think about the people who went to jail who were innocent. And I really don't look at the jail system like anybody should be there. And so it changed my perspective because I gained a perspective on what does that mean. You guys will learn more about me throughout this process of who I am, what adversity I went through, where my strength comes from. And I don't think all bad people are in jail. I just thought when I was in there that the person that put me in here has never been in here. And when you are, when I was in court, I represent myself, and I have been since 2011. My son's father has an attorney, which that is his right to do so. But I also look at like, yeah, I'm not going to pay to beat you to have access to our son that I gave birth to without any pain medication. And if this is our son's adversity, that's just my belief. The people that can mess you up are your mother and your father. And that is his father. And he can learn from both of us, the good and bad from both of us, and take that, because I think life is built on opposition. And I don't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to be perfect, but you can create what you accept and how you rear your children in the future if he decides to have any. But I thought about all the memories that I have with our son Drew. And even that tragic one, me being arrested on his birthday, I don't know if he saw me. I actually haven't spoken to Drew since that day, because we end up going to court, back to child custody court, and he has, I don't even know if it's temporary, you guys, but he has legal custody of our son, and I'm not allowed to speak to him, see him, text him, do anything with him, which is quite interesting. So when you know, I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So you got to do all this to keep me away from our son, then once again, I can't stop you. But what I want to do is I'm going to attach a video of Drew speaking to the police, kind of like taking control of a situation that could have gotten very ugly. So if I could rewind a little bit, the reason why I have currently a restraining order against Drew's dad is because he was filing false police reports. Now, like I said, this is temporary. We're actually going to court tomorrow. I look at the court system very different, and I have for a long time. And so it'll probably be thrown out, or the restraining order won't be granted where it's permanent. Because some of the things, like, he's really good in court, and that is his house, and outside of that place is mine. So I don't have any expectations of what's going to happen in court tomorrow, other than to just show up. But some of the things that led to me getting approved for the temporary restraining order is he was filing false police reports saying that I killed our son. He didn't know his whereabouts. He created a missing persons file, submitted it to LA County, and that's how they got the warrant out for my arrest. But what was interesting is that it was a picture of our son from 2018 from an ID that I took him to get from the DMV. Our son Drew doesn't look like that anymore. Obviously it's him, but his hair is grown. I actually locked his hair up, so he doesn't look like the boy from 2018. On there, he said that he was 5'11". He is a little shy of 5 feet tall, so that's not true. And on there, it also says he doesn't have dental records, which he does. Drew's teeth were severely chipped. So not just a chip, like half of it was knocked off of one tooth, and he had to get them, had some work done. So he definitely has dental records. He's been to the dentist since he was 2 years old. And you would think with somebody with a celebrity status that they can access their Instagram, their following, to help them find this child that is claimed to be lost. And again, he would have the police come. They would come to our house so much, but they would come at indecent hours, like 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12 o'clock. And Drew would be asleep. And I'm like, if you guys could come at a decent hour, you're more than welcome to see the child. They called it welfare check and all these other things in. But it slowly got more aggressive. So the night that Drew woke up and came downstairs and said, "Mommy, let me talk to them," the police were threatening to bust down the door. And how it made me feel is that I thought about Breonna Taylor and how she didn't have any time. And so I spoke with Drew about that after, and that's what he was feeling. He was feeling that I need to save my mom, because my mom's going to protect me, but who's going to protect her? And I don't believe that my child should have to protect me. I am his mother. I should be able to protect him. And so I do have a video where Drew was speaking to the police, and the police said that he hadn't talked to him, hadn't seen him. And Drew just said, yeah, I communicate with my dad via text messages, but he doesn't believe it's me. He thinks it's my mom, but it's actually me. I don't want to speak for Drew, but I think he was relieved to had spent so much time with me. And he told his dad he wasn't going back. So one of the things that I noticed with my child custody case with him, I had never been to court prior to my relationship with Drew's dad. So my first ex, we've never went to court. So this is all very new to me to have them involved, but this is what it is with us. And that's his comfort zone. And so what I had to accept that he is really good with changing history. And this is a part of my history, a history that I cannot change. This is something that I have to endure. And so when I spoke about earlier, opening up a wound, you got to be able to close it up. Well, how do you do that? Self-care. One of the visions that I received from God is that you have to love yourself. So we think about love on a very minute level, like, oh, well, you brush your teeth, you comb your hair, you look nice, you dress nice. And that's not the type of love. When you think of yourself as a child of God, that love is deep, and it has roots that are grounded to earth, that are connected to the ancestors and the angels that came before you. So the people that taught me how to love is my grandparents, Alice Geneva and James D. And so this time where I had the absence of Drew, being able to take care of him, because that's what I thought love was. Love is having a child, no pain medication, breastfeeding, nurturing, cooking, teaching, whatever they need, access, and listening, loving, creating a home for them. And I knew I had to grow in other areas of how am I showering myself with that same love? I think throughout this time, 28 years of being a parent, and prior to that being a big sister, it was always easy for me to love other people versus put the light on you, Dana. Show up for yourself. So that's actually what I'm doing now, is taking this opportunity that Drew is not here, that I don't get to talk to him, touch him, see him, listen to all his inspirational quotes that he writes down and that he comes up with. We have really strong, solid memories, and I have that to fall back on. And also is that I wouldn't want to be the parent who's pulling the kid's arm off. And so I want Drew to have peace in his heart. And I know that he is getting his own set of wings. And so self-care is actually helping me close up that wound. So one of the things I started doing last week is getting back to juicing. Now I'm motivated to exercise, and I make a commitment to do those things every day. I do therapy once a week, so on Mondays. I also, because I am strong, I'm learning to accept help from other people. So like tomorrow with the domestic violence hearing that I have an advocate supporting me there, which is great. Like I said, because it's not so much about the outcome, it's that I need to finish this up. This chapter needs to close in my life so I can move forward and be productive and focus on the other areas in my life, which are plentiful. So if you have all these areas in your life that are half full, my current relationship, meaning in the physical with Drew, is absent, but our spiritual connection is strong because I spend a lot of time listening to him. So I know the music that he listens to. He loves watching this one YouTuber, CJ So Cool. I wasn't the biggest fan of him, but I watched that show to learn what is Drew learning from there. So we talk about different parenting styles. And I'm so happy that he shared so much with me that I can live with every day. So I write him a message every morning so that way I can feel like I'm connecting with him. And so one of the things that I did when I was young, I love poetry. I love music. It's very healing to me. And one of the poems that I gave all of my children and actually other people that I care about, and I'll read it to you guys. It's Mother to Son by Langston Hughes. Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time, I've been a climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on the steps, 'cause you find it kind of hard. Don't you fall now, for I still going, honey. I still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair. So I draw strength from that, knowing that I have a foundation of love and respect and honor with all of my children. My children are 8 years apart, so you can connect to them differently. I had a lot of time to nurture and to allow Drew to grow into his own person because he is very strong. He is a light. You guys will get to know who he is. I'll share our testimony and also memories of Drew and videos that I have of him and see how bright he is. So I always tell him, Drew, you're great and you're going to share your light with the world. So one of the other things that we share is the love of music. So we can listen to music from New Edition, Michael Jackson, Luther Vandross, Anita Baker, Toddy T, Tupac, World Class Wrecking Crew, Mixmaster Spade, Dr. Dre, and Boosie. Boosie has this one song entitled Motherless Child. So one day, Drew comes to me and he deals with his pain by his sense of humor. So he's like, Mom, I affectionately call him Woo. He has a ton of nicknames, but one of them is Woo. And I said, yes, Woo. He was like, I'm a motherless child. Why you say that, Woo? Oh, at my dad's house. And so I remember taking that time to write. I started writing poetry actually in 2020 when I lost my father. And so anytime that I would wake up in the middle of the night, I would just grab my notebook or my phone, pen and paper, and start writing. So remember I told you earlier that I'm a motherless child. I don't have a healthy relationship with my mother. I have an agape love for her, and that's the love of Christ. Grateful that she brought me into the world, but have a lot of trauma based on that relationship and didn't want that for my children. So I wrote, it's ironic that I wrote the poem on my mother's birthday, January 14th. And so I wrote this poem on January 14th, 2022. And it's entitled Motherless Child. Motherless child, kinda cold inside. No one knows your pain. Missing home-cooked meals like oxtail meatloaf and chili. Fresh cut fruit, how you love them so much. Eat till your tummy is full, made with love just for you. No matter where you are, your mother is near. As long as I'm living, my baby you will be. Continue to grow your God-given testimony. Use your voice with power and grace. Never take back the hope that was placed. You are loved and stand on a solid foundation. You are a gift to the world, a special light that shines so bright. Remember to say your prayers at night. Brush your teeth at least twice a day. Wash your body 3 times per shower. Floss your teeth and moisturize too. Spray the cologne that I bought for you. No matter where you are, your mother is near. As long as I'm living, my baby you will be. Continue to grow your God-given testimony. You are not motherless. Just spend more time at your dad's. Although not by choice, this is our circumstance. And until you come home, I will be patiently waiting. Your room is tidy. Your clothes are clean. I made an appointment for a lineup, just like you asked. Every other weekend, we'll spend quality time, receive lots of hugs and kisses. All the life lessons I'm sure you'd be missing. No matter the weather, our love stands strong. I'm proud of you, son. You are a hero, and soon enough the world will know how fast my little boy had to grow. Continue to learn as much as you can. Keep your cursing to a minimum and your hands to yourself. When you get angry, the Holy Ghost is there to help. This too shall pass, and soon you will see you always have a mother right here in me. Love, Mommy. So, accessing that pain, I call it going through the fire, gives me the strength to show up every day. So I'm able to renew my mind every morning and start anew. So that way I can wake up and say, are you whole if you don't have a child to cook for, someone to lay out their clothes, take them to football practice, help them with their homework, even if you're just sitting next to them while they're writing? I am a hands-on person, a hands-on mother. And I always say that I will be the one to sacrifice because I wouldn't want to do this to Drew's dad. I would rather it be done to me because I know my strength, and I know as I go through life's adversities, I have opportunities where I can replenish myself. And so I go back to that soft space where I know that I'm a child of God. He loves me, and something good is going to come of this. Something good is going to come of this. And so I am waiting for that opportunity to show up and make my children proud. I am a mother no matter where Drew lays his head. And Iyanla Vanzant, one of the things she would always say is, make sure you can access home in 30 seconds or less. And Drew can use those tools to feel safe. Because one of the other things in my life that I've drawn strength from is that I have friends and family members who've lost their children, whether it be through car accidents, unknown illnesses, and gun violence. I've supported them and see the true strength of mothers and fathers who can never touch their kids physically. And so, yes, I'm going through one of the hardest things I've ever been through, but I know my son is breathing. And so even when it gets really hard, I think about my friends and loved ones and how they don't have access to their children in the physical, but in the spirit world, they show up for us. That is where I get a lot of my strength. So it is the spirit world of people like Rodney, Darrell in London, baby Stevie. And I don't take for granted the amount of time that I spend with my children. All three of them are very special to me. And so I'm learning to be more open to myself, of giving myself opportunities to show up for me and not just opportunities where I show up and support other people. And so I'm looking forward to gaining different perspectives and also connecting with other people who are showing up in a court system. This is not even an hour video yet. This is a very small fragment of my life and life's adversities. So I'm ready to open up and share my talent with the world, which is resiliency and strength. So even when I feel weak and I want to put down my strength, I want to lay it down, guess what? I can't. Because that is our opportunity to grow. God gives us all talents. And that's a talent that I've been perfecting every single day of my life. I've always had a strength, and now I have to apply it. So there's times that I'll hear a song. I'll be in the car and I'm wishing Woo was alongside of me, and I'll shed a tear, and that's all it is. It'll dry up. It'll dry up because that joy will come back to me. So that's one thing that hasn't left me, is joy and hope. So hopefully this touches someone's heart, a mother and a father who are separated from their children. But don't ever give up on God. No matter where they are, you are near to them. Continue to have access to them in their heart and spiritually, and you will be rewarded. So hopefully, like I said, guys, this is my first time. I will attach other videos to this. And I'm also opening up myself to questions. Like I said, I don't have social media. I don't have an Instagram. So I don't have the back and forth communicating with other people. And I understand that there will be a lot of positives and some negative comments. I would like to say, if they can reserve the negative comments and keep it to yourself, this platform is for people that are currently going through something, about to go through something, and how to heal and move forward in life. How to show up for yourself without being able to physically care for your children. Thank you for listening. If you come thus far, please like, share, and hit that notification. Once again, my name is Dana, and I am more than a mother and also a motherless child. Thank you.